This is Barbara Illestad and John Taylor with Mesquite Citizen Journal, and as part of our continuing series this week, I'm interviewing all the candidates who've declared for the Mesquite City Council race in 2013. We're here today with John Williams. And John, we're going to ask you to give a short introduction, how long you've been in Mesquite, some of your background, and so take it away.
Great. Well, thank you for doing this. Basically I've been coming to Mesquite for about 20 years on and off with groups of folks. And as most of us did, finally said, boy, this would be a great place to live. And in 2010, my wife and I bought a home and came here from on and off that year, probably spent 80% of the time of that year here, and by the fall and winter of 2011, we decided this is home.
Okay,
so
good.
We've been here permanent residents ever since, and we absolutely love it. My background, of course, if people read your paper, which I know, of course they do, they see my advertisements. The last company I was the CEO of was a mortgage banking company from 2000 to 2007. We grew from 3 to 42 states and did about $100 million a month in mortgage loans. But of course, we all know what happened to the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
And we saw that it was a good time to get out of that and close down elegantly as best we could. And since then, I just continued doing mortgages for friends and relatives and acquaintances. And when I moved here, actually, I had not intended to continue doing those, but I had several friends and families that within 6 months of us moving here came down and visited us and bought homes and decided this was also a place they wanted to have a home.
Okay,
and
great.
They all kept asking me to do a mortgage loan for them, so I said, okay. So I got a Nevada mortgage license also, so I do mortgage licenses.
Okay.
My background for the previous 35 years has basically been as the chief executive of companies in different industries, from medical device development to of course mortgage and financial industries, to an air ambulance manufacturing company. Very diverse background in management, but management is my deal.
Okay. All right. John, go ahead and ask the first question.
Obviously, the City Council doesn't have any control over Overton Power District. However, what are your thoughts on the mayor's quest to find a new power supplier? And how would you do that?
Well, this is a complex issue. As you know, I've been quite involved in that issue, and I have a lot of thoughts. The first thing I always try to do is get a grasp on all the facts. What are all the options? And that's where I feel we are now. We're exploring the options. As you know, we've talked a lot about getting power from a different supplier, Valley Electric or Dixie Escalante or NV Energy or somebody else. And there's all those issues of, well, yeah, that's great if you can buy your power here, but how does it get to your house? So it's not just a matter of buying your power and saying, okay, we're getting it from these guys now. We also have to have the infrastructure, and the infrastructure is owned by Overton Power District. We can maybe rent it and pay a tariff to run power. But in the long run, that very well may not be the right answer too. I guess my answer is we don't have enough facts yet to make the decision, but what we're doing is we're trying to figure out get enough facts so we can make the right decision. And it very well may end up being get the citizens involved, which is what we're really trying to do, get enough citizens involved that we're able to make a change in the structure and the openness and the transparency at Overton Power District. We change the fiduciary responsibility of the board of directors and the management so that it operates like we want it to. I don't think anybody today thinks it's operating the way we want it to, and there are just too many closed doors.
Okay.
All right. What are your thoughts about making the Gold Butte area a national conservation area with or without wilderness? And do you think that either way, declaring it an NCA or not, would serve as an economic development engine?
Oh, I'm very mixed. I love Gold Butte. I love to go out there. Every time I have visitors in town, I take them out there, and it amazes me that normal old folks like us can find the right spot and go walking around in this spectacular place and look at these Indian rock writings and feel and see the history there and the fabulous formations. It just is, it's spectacular. My apprehension is I would like to share it with everybody,
Okay.
but I don't want to have it ruined. I fear that without adequate oversight and management, it can and will get ruined. I'm not going to express a hard opinion on whether I'm in favor of an NCA designation or not. It's like most things. Say, well, there's some conditions to that. Would I like to see it get more protection and more federal funding to make it nicer and more accessible to more people? Sure. If that comes along with adequate protections for the use of the citizens. No sense in having it in a museum, having it be like a museum where you can't see it and you can't experience it. And so I guess my answer to that question is a firm maybe. If we can have enough input on an NCA designation, then and assure enough input and adequate access for citizens, and enhance it, but still make it accessible to everybody. That's the best of all worlds. I certainly am not in favor of being made less accessible for use by the people.
Okay.
Staying on that theme of conservation kind of for a minute, the Virgin River Habitat Conservation and Recovery Plan has been under consideration by the City Council for close to a year. Which way do you think the issue should be settled, and do you see it more as an economic development issue or a conservation issue?
Oh boy, it's got to be a mix. It's like, kind of my opinion on Gold Butte area. It's got to be a mix. I think it is, well, it's both. Certainly there needs to be some conservation effort, and I don't think there's any way we're going to escape, being part of a conservation effort. The way it has been being done as part of 3 separate groups, it just doesn't make any sense. I think the direction the City Council is going now to wrap it into something over which we have a lot more control, and it's not being double and triple dipped by 3 different government agencies, is certainly the way to go, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
Okay.
All right. We're leaving this as wide open as you want to make it. What are your thoughts on the smoke-free Mesquite effort?
Boy, there's personal thoughts, and then there's thoughts as a potential elected official.
That's why we're leaving it wide open.
I'm a former smoker. I would smoke for 30 years. I don't care how much air handling system these casinos use. When you walk in, it still smells like stale smoke. I'd like to see that gone, because it would make it more enjoyable for me. On the other hand, I don't believe it's the right thing to do to force private businesses to meet some standard that everybody is in agreement with. Smoking is still legal in this country, and people who smoke should have a right to do it. That being said, I do have concern for the people who, because of their jobs, are required to be in that environment all day, every day. I have concerns, health concerns, and I don't have a perfect answer for that. I wish there was some way to provide those folks with some protection. Now, I don't think it would be aesthetically pleasing to go in and see all the folks working in the casino with tanks of oxygen on their back and masks on their face. So that probably isn't.
That would
isn't
probably
gonna
cut
happen.
into the ambiance the casinos are trying to create.
I think it would. But I do have concern for those folks. But again, I don't really think it's something that a government ought to enforce. I think it still is a choice whether you want to go in. For the most big part of it, still a choice whether most of us want to go into a casino and spend time or not.
Okay.